Ooh, take a look at these people. They have just finished eating, and the mother says to her son, "Wash the dishes. Wash the dishes." Is that polite or rude? What do you think? Well, it's rude. It's not very polite. Okay, what if she says to her son, "Clean your room. Clean your room." Is that polite or rude? What do you think? Well, it's rude. It's not very polite. Why? Well, very often in English, when we start sentences with verbs like that, it means we are giving commands or orders. Okay, like this. Wash, clean, go. When we start a sentence with verbs like this, it's sort of rude because we are giving commands or orders. That means we're telling someone what to do, right? Wash the dishes, clean your room, go to the store and buy me some milk, right? Go to the store and buy me some milk. I'm telling you what you should do, and that is a bit rude. Now, how can we fix this? How can we change this? Because you probably want to be polite when you speak English, right? Now, the problem is that many English learners are taught that if they use the word please, then everything is polite. So they just need to use this word, please, and then everything becomes polite. Well, that's not really true. Okay, let's take a look at these sentences again. Okay, please wash the dishes. Please wash the dishes. Is that polite or rude? Okay, or please clean your room. Please clean your room. Are these sentences polite? Well, they are more polite than before because now we have the word please, right? Please is a good word. It's a great word. If you want to use the word please, that's great, okay? But the problem is that these are still commands. They're orders, right? Please wash the dishes. Please clean your room. Okay, these are still commands. They're nicer commands, right? But they're still commands. Please go to the store and buy me some hamburgers. I like hamburgers. Okay, so how can you make it even more polite than using please? Well, you should ask, not tell. Okay, you should ask, not tell. It's always nicer to ask someone to do something than to tell them to do something, right? So you could ask this, right? Could you wash the dishes? Right? Question mark. So when we ask someone to do something, we use a question, right? You know how to ask questions, right? Asking questions is very polite because it gives the other person some power or some respect, right? If you tell someone to do something, you're taking away their power, their respect, right? So that's why asking questions is more polite than if you say please in many situations, okay? So take a look at these sentences here, okay? And I want you to think about which one is the most polite and which one is the most rude. Let's take a look. Wash the dishes. Please wash the dishes. Could you wash the dishes? Would you mind washing the dishes? Which one is the most polite? Well, I think this one is the most polite and this one is the most rude. Okay, so most rude, less rude, less rude, most polite, right? So these are great. In some cases, this one might be fine too. Like if a mother is speaking to her kids, maybe she would say this, please wash the dishes. But these are more polite in most situations. So you should get comfortable asking questions. Now, I want to ask you a question. Do you think I'm polite? Do you think I'm polite? Me. Maybe you have seen a few of my videos already, or maybe you've seen all my videos. I have like 500 videos on my YouTube channel. Maybe you've seen all of them, okay? So what do you think? Do you think I am polite or rude? Well, I want to tell you something that I think will shock you. Are you ready? I never use the word please. I never use the word please. Can you believe it? I mean, I use it sometimes. Okay, so by never, I don't mean never. I do use this word occasionally, right? But, compared to English learners, English learners use this word all the time, whereas I rarely use this word. Why? Well, it's because there are other ways in English to be polite, and I am a polite person. I like being polite, right? So if you want to be polite, it's more complex than saying please. Okay, you can't just say please and thank you and then you're polite all the time. No, it's not that simple. It's more complex than that. It's more complex. It depends on the situation. Okay, this is very important. The situation is really, really important. So you need to know what to say in different situations. And that can be difficult if you're just starting to learn English. You might not know what to say in different situations, but it's okay. That's why I teach you these kinds of things so that you can learn what to say in different situations. Okay, now take a look at this situation. Let's say these two women are having coffee together and having some cake. Okay, and that woman has just finished eating her piece of cake. And this woman says, have some more cake. Have some more cake. Okay, do you think that's polite or rude? Well, it's polite. It's very polite. Have some more cake. But look, see the first word? Have. That's the verb, right? So this is a command. It's an order, right? Have some more cake. Have some more cake, right? But this is actually very polite because of the situation. Look at the difference between these two sentences. Have some more cake and wash the dishes. Okay, they have the same structure. It's the same structure, right? So what's the difference? Well, the situation is different. That's the only thing. It's the situation that's different. That's why situation is so important in English. Okay, there are a lot of cultures around the world. For example, if you go to the Philippines or Iran or Pakistan or something, okay, the people in those cultures are very nice and hospitable. They're very polite. So if you go to their house for a meal and you're eating food, they're going to force you to eat more food. They'll say, eat, eat, and they'll take food and they'll put it on your plate. Eat, eat more, eat, you stupid. No, they don't do that. They won't do that. But they try to force you to eat more, right? Those cultures are very nice, polite, hospitable. Okay. Now, in Canada and the US, nobody is going to force you to eat, but we have the same idea here in our culture. When we say this, have some more cake. Okay, it's like an order, but it's nice, right? It's polite. Why is it polite? It's because of the situation, okay? The situation is very important. So let's take a look at some situations so you can see what a polite thing to say would be in different situations, okay? So let's say these two sisters are staying in a hotel. They're staying in the same room in a hotel. They both have two single beds, right? And let's say they're both reading. And this girl says, hey, could you turn on the light? she tells her, hey, could you turn on the light? Let's say there's no light above her bed, or the light is off, right? And she wants some light to read, but the light switch is over there, right? So she asks her sister, hey, could you turn on the light? Hey, could you turn on the light? That's just the most polite thing she could say. That's a very nice thing to say. It's a very casual thing to say because they're sisters, right? Hey, could you turn on the light? She would not say, turn on the light. Turn on the light. That's rude, right? Or she wouldn't say, please turn on the light. Please turn on the light. I don't think so. I don't think she would say that. That's a little bit rude as well. And it's a bit formal. When we use the word please, very often it means it's a very formal situation. Okay, in a situation like this, she wouldn't say please. She would just say, hey, could you turn on the light? Okay, thanks. Right? Now, let's say these two women are staying in a youth hostel. Okay, and they're strangers. They're staying in the same room, but they don't know each other. Have you ever stayed in a youth hostel? I've stayed in many youth hostels. So in a youth hostel, you stay in a room with the strangers, right? So then she asks, would you mind turning on the light? Would you mind turning on the light? Now, she says, would you mind? Because in this situation, she's trying to be really polite, right? This is sort of a formal situation. She doesn't know that person, so she's trying to be very polite. So she says, would you mind? Would you mind? I mean, she could say, could you too, right? She could say, could you turn on the light as well? But in this situation with the sisters, it's more casual. So she doesn't need to be too polite. You know, usually with family and friends, it's more casual. But when we interact with strangers, then we try to be more polite, right? It's a more formal situation, okay? So she says, would you mind turning on the light? And when she turns on the light, she says, thanks a lot. Thanks. Okay? So let's take a look at the situation here, okay? This guy wants to buy some real estate. Real estate, okay? Real estate means property, like a house or an apartment or something like that, okay? So he goes and meets the realtor. Okay, that guy's the realtor. He's going to show this guy the house. So they're going to go inside the house and look around, right? So the realtor might say, if you wouldn't mind taking off your shoes, that would be great. If you wouldn't mind taking off your shoes, right? Very often when you go to a house, you should take off your shoes. I mean, some people don't take off their shoes, right? Every culture is a little bit different. In some cultures, people don't take off their shoes, but in a situation like this, where you're going into some, house to buy the house, it's best to take off your shoes, right? So if the person isn't taking off their shoes, the realtor might say, if you wouldn't mind taking off your shoes, that would be great. Now, sometimes in English, when we say this, we just say the first part. Okay, if you wouldn't mind taking off your shoes. But sometimes we add a second part to the sentence. Actually, this isn't a complete sentence. Really, it should have this part here. But very often we just say this. If you wouldn't mind taking off your shoes, ... Okay, and then we just end it there, even though it's not a full sentence. I don't know why we do that in English, but we just do. But then you could add this piece if you want. If you wouldn't mind taking off your shoes, that would be great. Okay, so this is very polite. This is a very polite way of telling someone that they should take off their shoes, right? But if the realtor says, take off your shoes, that's very rude. That's very rude. And maybe the person won't buy the house then, right? If you work in this kind of a job, like in real estate, you need to be very nice and polite with people so that people will buy the house, right? So this is what you should say. If you wouldn't mind taking off your shoes, that would be great. Okay, now let's take a look at this situation. Let's say your friend comes over to your house. This is your house, your friend is coming to visit, and he parks his car in front of your house, right? But it's garbage day. It's garbage day, so the garbage truck is going to come and take your garbage that you put in front of your house. So then you could tell your friend, you could say, if you wouldn't mind parking over there, the garbage truck is probably going to come by sometime in the next hour. Okay, so you're telling him to move his car over there. If you wouldn't mind parking over there, the garbage truck is probably going to come by sometime in the next hour. Okay, and if the car is there, then it's blocking the garbage truck, right, from taking the garbage. So that's why he needs to park over there. So this is a very polite way to do it. It's the most polite way to do it, okay? So maybe you don't know this. Maybe you've never used this before, okay? Now, this isn't a question. It's not a question, but it's sort of a mix. It's not a command. If you say, if you wouldn't mind parking over there, it's like a very, very nice command, okay? But it's polite. It's very polite. If you wouldn't mind doing that, right? So I think if you want to be polite in English, then you should use these questions, these kinds of sentences in your speech more than the word please. Okay. Now you could use please with these as well. Okay, you could say, could you please help me with the dishes? Okay, could you please clean your room? Okay, so you don't have to choose one or the other. You can use please in these things as well, and that's great too. Okay, so it's your choice if you want to put please in here, okay? But you should, use these. Could you? Would you mind? If you wouldn't mind, okay? Like I could say, could you subscribe to my channel right down there? That would be great. Would you mind clicking the like button? If you wouldn't mind telling your friends about Mad English TV, I would be so happy. Thanks so much. Hey, let's do some homework. I want you to make a sentence, make a polite sentence. Any sentence you want. Just make a polite sentence and post it down there in the comments. Is this rude? Look at that. Make. I started the sentence with make. That's a verb. Oh no, is this rude? No, this is not rude. It's fine. Now, this is not a command or an order. This is just instructions. This is an instruction, right? Like if you buy a grammar textbook, let's say, in the textbook, it will say, read the following paragraph, right? Read the following paragraph. That's not a command. It's an instruction. It's telling you what you should do because you want to learn, right? So read the following paragraph and write 5 sentences about the paragraph and then complete the chart. Okay, so there are three verbs, right? Read, write, and complete, or fill in the diagram, fill in the chart. Okay, so in these situations, it's not rude, it's fine. It's just giving instructions. So again, it's all about the situation. The situation is so important. Anyway, I look forward to reading your polite sentence down there in the comments, and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.